It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. Welcome to the Dep Lewis Show, episode 182. This is your host, Dep Lewis, and today is Sunday, May 31st, 2026. A great day for a podcast about video games and more. So I hope you're doing great out there in the world, wherever and whenever you're listening to this. Thank you for being here. The first order of business is to ask you to follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere. Full episodes of Dep Lewis Show available anywhere you can find a podcast, so find the best place to subscribe and listen weekly. Places like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Amazon Music, and more. YouTube is also a great place to watch me play some games live or check out the videos later. And there is a recent one on there if you'd like to go check me out on youtube.com/Dep Lewis Show. And then if you would like to support the show even further than just listening, patreon.com/Dep Lewis Show is available if you'd like to subscribe monthly. That's guaranteed to be the best way to always get the podcast ad-free. And then also Venmo at Dep Lewis Show is available any day, anytime, for any amount if you would like to support the show. And today's show will have three sections as always. The first section, I'll tell you about what video games I've been playing since I've last talked to you on this microphone. There's going to be a lot of familiarity going on in the first section, but I've been playing a lot of games I'm really enjoying, so I'm excited to talk about those. The mid section, which is not mid in quality, it's the middle of the show. That's where I tell you everything going on around the video game world that you need to know. And the third and final section, the miscellaneous talk section, a break from all the video game talk, where I normally like to get into the worldwide world of sports and tell you what's going on with all my favorite teams. And that would be the case today, and my favorite team in the whole wide world is playing right now. While I'm recording this, the Atlanta Braves, they had a 1:40 start today. So a pretty typical time for the Braves, a little bit late, but they're actually losing to the Reds right now. And the Reds just hit another home run late and made the deficit even greater. So I think the Braves are going to be taking a loss today, but I'll have to report back officially on that one next week. But I'll talk some more sports stuff in the final section of the show. But first things first is talking about video games. So what have I been playing since I've last talked to you on this microphone? And I've been playing a lot more of Forza Horizon 6. And I can clearly say this is my favorite video game of 2026. So I've been enjoying this a whole lot. I'm around 24 hours in at this point. I did a stream yesterday. If you want to go check out some gameplay on YouTube, it's around 2 hours in length. I tried to do like a smattering of everything going on in the game. So I tried to show off some of the racing, the different styles of racing, the different cars, some of the different collectibles in the open world. We did some of the tours around Japan, which are really nice. You get to sightsee a little bit and learn some history and facts about Japan, which is pretty nice. And overall, just kind of showing off everything I like about this game so far. So if you want to go check that out, please go check out my YouTube. I still think my favorite car is the Porsche 911 Turbo S, and I have a yellow one. I've been still going with yellow for my cars in this game, besides a Ferrari that I bought, and I made that red because I felt like that was proper for a Ferrari. While I was streaming, if you watch that stream, you can see that I got the difficulty, a request from the computer to say, hey, you should probably up the difficulty because you've been doing so well. So, pretty brag-worthy moment right there, looking pretty awesome out there on the Forza Horizon 6 streets. And then even after streaming yesterday, I got another increase to the difficulty. So Forza is really giving me some trust out there, giving me the keys to the nice cars and let me do my thing. But I did hit a little bit of a stalemate on actually winning the races with the newest difficulty. So I think it'll take some time to get used to, kind of like it did on the last tier. But I do think my strength in this game is more so the road racing than the off-road stuff. I think there is still a good bit of off-road racing that I finished like 4th in or even 6th in or something like that I need to go back and get a proper placement in. I would like to get first in all these things. But this game allows you to, try out a bunch of different things. You can, if you're not hitting on something at one point, you can go switch to something else. I think that's what it's doing best, is giving you options all the way around from, having the open world down to like a menu system where you can pick events that it recommends, sort of thing. So I've been loving everything about this game, the way it controls, the way it looks. I still think the setting is the most top tier. I think I'm leaning towards, I don't know what it would take to be counted as the best racing game of all time, but it might be going up there for my favorite racing game of all time already. And I just think they have done a really, really good thing here with Forza Horizon 6. and I have been enjoying the heck out of this and want to continue to keep playing and making progress. I think I have 2 wristbands left to go. That's kind of I guess there's like 2 sides to the game. The one is like the wristband progression, and the other side is like the Tour of Japan. So I am way behind on the Tour of Japan side of thing, but I've been making pretty good progress on the wristband side of things. I think there's still 2 more for me to unlock. Each time you unlock a new wristband, it unlocks new items on the map that you can go do. So it's, even building out the objectives and open world even more as you go throughout the game. So, I mean, I really can't think of any complaints in this game. It runs great on the Xbox Series S. And I've just been having fun with it. So Forza Horizon 6 is the lead runner. It's in first place for Game of the Year for me for sure. And it's been living up to all the hype, and I've been having fun with it. So that's my Forza Horizon 6 update. All right, what else have I been playing in the past week that I want to tell you about? I've been playing some more Pokemon LeafGreen, and that is the game where I am right at the end. I think I'm like 90, I don't know if it's like 90% through. I've completed the 8 gyms. I have tackled the Elite Four, but after the Elite Four, you still have to complete a battle against your rival, and that's the thing that has foiled me. So I'm at the beginning of the Elite Four again. I'm training up my team. I have looked to the internet for some tips on how to level up before this, and one of the tips I got today was to use the Verse Seeker. So I was able to go get the Verse Seeker. I believe it was from the Pokemon Center in Vermilion City, where a lady in the Pokemon Center just gives this to you. And this item is going to allow me to re-battle some trainers in the world. So I got recommended a spot to go to on the one island. I guess it's outside of a hot spring. So there is a smattering. I use smattering again. I guess that's the word of the podcast today. But some different trainers out there that you can fight against. And I guess the Verse Seeker, will run out of charge or whatever after so many trainers. But if you are able to take it to the hot spring, it can recharge it, is what I'm reading. And then you can go back out there and kind of do the cycle again and keep getting some experience. So even going to one island, I think I had made it to a spot I hadn't gone to before because I was fighting some brand new trainers already. So I don't know if these are the trainers that I'm supposed to be doing this loop with, or if these are just some other trainers in the world that I found that I didn't complete. But I gained almost 2 levels to Lapras and gained 1 to Raichu while doing those few battles. So that was, getting pretty good. So Lapras is up to 42 or 43. I think Raichu was right on 40. I would like to get them at least, I don't know, I think they all need to be around 50 would make it a little bit more of a breezy walkthrough. Like I was pretty close to being able to beat my rival. I just need to be able to attack his Charizard better. So the Lapras is going to be a really good Pokemon for that. And then everyone keeps kind of recommending all the things I keep reading say you want to have a strong electric type. So I'm training up Raichu as well. And I'm feeling a little more confident. I really kind of like this tip I found with this Verse Seeker. So I haven't actually used the Verse Seeker yet, but I'm over in the area, and that's kind of the last thing that I was exploring. So Lapras and Raichu are trying to catch up to the rest of my team. Currently, that's the plan. So it's Articuno, Nidoking, Venusaur, and who else? Flareon. So Venusaur and Flareon are my top dogs. Articuno's right behind them, and Nidoking, Lapras, and Raichu. So that's the team I'm going with. I'm really enjoying playing as Lapras right now. I think Lapras has been growing on me as a Pokemon, and hopefully all this hard training is going to pay off for me, where I can complete Pokemon LeafGreen, because I've been having a whole lot of fun with that game, and I've been having a little bit of a battle here at the end, but hopefully I'll be looking back fondly on that in the future. So this week, I've been on the Pokemon train. I've also been playing some Pokemon Brilliant Diamond. I took down Rourke in the first gym, the Oreburgh City gym. So took down Rourke. He was I think I was fighting Geodudes and things like that, rock Pokemon. It was pretty easy since my Pokemon is Prinplup, or Piplup evolves into Prinplup. I'm around level 18, so I have some pretty strong water moves going on right now. And my Shinx just evolved into Luxio, so I think those are my 2 Pokemon that are going to be sticking around for me right now. My Abra evolved into Kadabra. I don't have any attack moves for Kadabra yet, which is a little bit of a problem, but might possibly stick around. I don't know if I've ever really taken a liking to Abra, Kadabra, and Alakazam, but I'm trying out some new Pokemon here, and I'm enjoying learning about more Pokemon here in the Sinnoh region. I really am enjoying this game, especially after coming off of LeafGreen. I think this is a really cool update to an older game. I think it has a lot of this, like the bones of LeafGreen, but it has some more of the modern touches, and you can just see a little bit more progression of the Pokemon franchise in this game. And then this game, I'm playing the Switch remaster of it, so I'm sure there were some updates made in there as well. But just like the backgrounds of the battles look pretty cool. I think I'm fighting Team Galactic in this game, and just the settings for the battles. I think that's been one of the most striking things, just along with the world being a little more fleshed out, a little more trees around the world, just things like that make it a little more lively kind of thing. So I'm having, I would say, just as much fun so far. Maybe a little bit less just because of all my nostalgia for Gen 1, but I'm having a whole lot of fun with Pokemon Brilliant Diamond, and I think this will be the main one that I focus on if I can complete Pokemon Leaf Green, which I believe I can. So those have been the 2 Pokemon games I've been playing in the past week. And then I've also been messing around with another game that I'm always messing around with, and that is Persona 3. So I've been playing some Persona 3 Reload. I've been primarily just trying to play my file on Switch 2. I think I own this game on every platform, and I even own an alternative version. I own Persona 3 Portable, which I've been playing some of that as well. But I think maybe that's just going to be the way it's going to be for me. But I've been kind of focusing on my Switch 2 version, which has been nice. I've been using my Switch 2 in handheld more recently. I've been using the Satisfy 2 grip that I got more frequently, and I think that I'm beginning to really like it. I don't know if I would want to say I recommend it yet, but it does make your console bulkier, but it is a more comfortable experience in handheld for sure. It really, really allows you to set it on your lap in a great way, or even if you're holding it straight up. I think you'll get tired, holding it straight up either way, but it just really does make it more comfortable. It has more rounded features around the ends of the tablet or the ends of the attachment, and it just feels more comfortable. And I think is something that if you're looking into, if you really want to try something, I think it's a good thing to try. And for my full recommendation, I'm going to keep using it. But I've been using it more and more this past week. I've been taking the console in and out of it, but I've been being kind of careful about it. I feel like it's kind of broken in a little bit more. It is like a little plastic device, so maybe it's getting a little more leniency or comfortable with the console coming in and out of it. So that was kind of one of my worries, was scratching the back of the Switch 2 tablet. But I have not. But I think it's been okay. I've just been kind of taking it easy, taking it in and out of there, and I think it's been doing okay. I haven't been putting it in the dock with the grip on there because I'm just a little bit scared of that scratching the screen. But luckily, it's easy enough to get out of the grip that you are able to kind of just take it on and take it off. So I'm really enjoying the Satisfy grip more and more for the Switch 2, and that's been helping out some of my handheld gameplay. I've been playing all 3 of those games pretty much in handheld: Leaf Green, Brilliant Diamond, and Persona 3 Reload. So that's everything I've been playing in the past week. I kind of guarantee I'm going to be playing a lot of these same games in the upcoming week, and I'll be glad to give you an update on where I stand in those games. And maybe one of these weeks soon I'll be completing Pokemon Leaf Green, and I'll be dancing and really, really happy and bragging about it probably, and bringing it up for many, many podcasts to go that I completed a Pokemon game. So hopefully I'll be able to say that sometime soon. All right, so those are all the games I've been playing in the past week. This is the year of the front log on the Dep Lewis Show, so that is my theme for the entire year. I'm not focusing on the backlog. I'm not creating lists. I'm not trying to deep dive into the back of a franchise if I don't want to. I'm focusing on the front log. And the 2 games I currently have on my front log, and these are 2 that I definitely want to play day one, would be Marvel's Wolverine on September 15th from Insomniac, and then Grand Theft Auto 6 on November 19th, which has gotten a vote of confidence recently for its release date. So I feel a little more confident about that being here on the front log list, but those are the 2 games that I'm looking forward to most. And I've already received, I've already playing my most hyped game, which is Forza Horizon 6 for 2026. So that is everything going on with me for my video gaming in the past week. I've been playing Forza Horizon 6, Pokemon Leaf Green, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond, and some Persona 3, a little bit of Reload, a little bit of Portable in there. So just the ongoing, I don't know, I guess you might want to call it a love fest with Persona 3 continues. So that's everything going on with me. That's going to wrap up this first section. You're going to hear some lovely break music and then come back for the midsection where I tell you about everything going on around the video game world that you need to know. Welcome back to the midsection of Dep Lewis Show, episode 182. This is where I tell you about everything going on around the video game world that you need to know. And the first couple of things I want to tell you about are reminders for the upcoming week. So this upcoming week is going to be, I guess it probably is it's one of, if not the biggest weeks for video game news that we get on a schedule. So we have two big events going on next week. Sony State of Play is taking place next week on Tuesday, June 2nd. It's taking place at 5 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be more than 60 minutes of updates, announcements, and gameplay reveals from top studios around the world. And for the Sony State of Play to kick things off, we're going to get a closer look at Marvel's Wolverine. Insomniac Games will share more of its upcoming third-person action-adventure game, which is a front-log game for the Dep Lewis Show, showing off Logan's brutal and relentless combat, along with some new details. So just a reminder that is taking place in the upcoming week. I would definitely be recapping everything from that on the Dep Lewis Show next week. So if you want to just wait for that, you definitely can. And then the thing I was talking about that gets scheduled every year, it's one of the biggest weeks or times during the video game news cycle, is Summer Games Fest. So that is the event hosted by Jeff Keighley, and Lucy James is actually hosting this year too. I don't know if she has done that previously, but it's Jeff Keighley and Lucy James are hosting Summer Games Fest, or Summer Game Fest, live from Dolby Theater in Los Angeles, California next Friday on June 5th, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we're going to be able to see what's next in video games is what they're saying. So a lot of great stuff to talk about on the show next week. So definitely going to be a very fun episode to record. So those are the two big events coming up in the upcoming week that I want to make sure you're aware of. Sony State of Play on Tuesday and Summer Game Fest on Friday. All right, so those are the two things to look forward to next week for sure. What else? What other news things do I want to tell you about this week? So this next one is an update for Unreal Engine. So we have now gotten a reveal and a first look at Unreal Engine 6. So Epic Games reveals a first look at Unreal Engine 6. It was announced with a clip of Rocket League. There's no release timeline yet, but it's been more than 4 years since Unreal Engine 5 came out. So many games in the video game landscape are running off Unreal Engine, and I think some people complain about that, but I think it's just a fact of the video game world. But Unreal Engine 6 is being shown off. I was listening to Nextlander podcast today, and Brad Shoemaker was saying whenever Unreal gets a new engine, it's a sign of a new console generation, closely becoming upon us. And I believe, that is lining up here. We're probably not too far off from next generation, even though it might not be the smartest move. But they got to be working at these things. These things can't just switch on a dime or whatever, or flip on a dime, whatever that saying may be. But they got to plan these things out way in advance. But Unreal Engine 6 has been revealed, and Rocket League was the first game shown off, using the new engine. All right. So this one is mainly bad news, but there's some good news in here as well. And so I don't know which one you want me to give you first. Maybe I'll give you the good news first. So Steam Deck OLED is back in stock. You can go buy this currently. There are two versions, a 512 gigabyte or a 1 terabyte. But if you're expecting the price to be the same as they were before, you are wrong. Steam Deck OLED has gotten a price increase, and this is a substantial one. But they're in stock currently if you want to go buy one. So if you really want to get one, you can pay this new premium. Their estimated delivery date is 6 to 10 business days. So I think it's been a minute since these have been in stock, but there's been an increase to a very important portion of these, and that is the price. So a 512 gigabyte OLED was $549 US dollars, is now $789. So, over a $200 increase there. And then the 1 terabyte was $649. It is now $949. So that is a $300 increase there. So pretty wild. The Steam Deck is a powerful portable PC gaming designed for comfort and a console-like user experience. Steam Deck OLED is all the things you love about Steam Deck, now with an OLED screen, battery life, faster Wi-Fi, and more. So I don't think this, there's nothing bad to be said about the Steam Deck OLED. I think a lot of people think this is a great console, and it seems like that's very, very true. But this new price is definitely something to think about. I think part of the great value in the Steam Deck was the price, and now that has been flipped on its head. This is, up there teetering with the price of the Xbox ROG Ally, which was, I think, pretty underwhelming of a release, but I think the specs on the higher end ROG Ally X are better than the Steam Deck OLED, so I think that's going to make that more of a competition now. But just pretty crazy to see. We've seen a lot of, I think $150 price increases, but these are, couples of hundreds of dollar increase on a console that's been out of stock that has probably pretty good demand for it. But they are still in stock. I think it's probably because of the price increase, and I really am disappointed in that's the way these things are going. But it seems like tech is just going to be getting more and more expensive. I think they cite in here the the rising cost of RAM and memory are the reason for this. And, I don't know. I think just a bummer either way. It would have been cool if they would have come back in stock. I think a little bit of a price increase could have been more understandable, but this was a really, really wild turn of events. I think the big takeaway from this news is, damn, can you believe how much they raised the price on these things? So pretty wild to see. I don't think it's an indictment on the quality of the Steam Deck. I think it's still good, but you have to really, really consider your purchase a lot more with that type of price increase. So bummer there for the Steam Deck OLED, but they are in stock right now. Well, nothing in stock on the refurbished side. I did check that yesterday, but that's something that you can sometimes take advantage of, but I think those sell pretty quickly. So no more LCDs on there. For new ones, it's all OLED, and they're all expensive. All right. This next one is some more news. Game has been delayed. And this one, I probably said this on this show before, and I think a lot of people have predicted this, but Fable has been delayed until February 2027. So this one's coming from Playground Games. So, I'm not going to talk bad about Playground Games, the creators of Forza Horizon 6. It's being published by Xbox Game Studios. It was previously showing, as of just a couple days ago, Fable was going to release in autumn 2026. So we never had a firm date. We just had a season. We had a season and a year, but now we have a month and a year. They're saying this Fable has been delayed until February 2027. The Xbox Chief Content Officer, Matt Booty, has said in regards to this, we're excited about where the game is. We want to make sure that the game has a window of its own. So we are going to move it from this fall to February. So getting out of the way of GTA 6, which is November 19th. So I think maybe the move there is, that's kind of like stating the obvious, but you would think you would want your game to stand on its own merit. Maybe you really don't want it to come out the same day, but a little bit, I guess it's maybe just kind of playing into what people already expect. So maybe it's not like really a true admission. It's just kind of like a little tongue in cheek or a little bit of a, easy win for them kind of thing. I don't know, but you think they would just want to say, hey, we need more time to cook this game up, blah, 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 and everyone else would say, hey, they're getting out of the way of GTA 6. But it seems like they're alluding to that directly, so, whatever. But in Fable, you can become the hero you want to be in an immersive open-world action RPG where each choice shapes your journey. Reputation is everything, and fairy tale endings are never guaranteed. So I guess the only thing there's two things I guess I like about this game, are Fable and the franchise, and then Playground Games. But I think this is going to be a really, really hard one to execute. I think it's been a long layoff from Fable. I think this is going to be more generic than we think it's going to be, and Fable was something pretty unique and special back in the day. So I really just can't see it being recaptured, or I think it's going to be like a tall order to recapture that, and that's a little bit of my pessimism here for Fable. But either way, it's been delayed till February 2027, and I really don't think that is too much of a surprise. All right, this next bit of news is a surprise, because the game from 2015, which is critically acclaimed and loved by everybody, so nothing wrong there, and the sequel to this game has already been announced and shown off a little bit, but The Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt, is getting a third expansion, and it's going to be hitting the market. No, not this year. It's going to be hitting in 2027, so some pretty surprising that this game is still getting content, and pretty surprising it's going to be coming out next year, since I feel like we've seen, a couple iterations of Witcher 4, like trailers or, people talking about it. So, I've heard, I was, listening to Nextlander this morning. They were saying that they could see this bridging the gap between the two, and, especially if they need more time to be working on Witcher 4, possibly with that running in Unreal Engine 6, that maybe this is something to satisfy people in the meantime. And, as long as it's quality content, I think that's going to be fine. But, just a surprise to see that Witcher 3 is getting a third expansion. So it's going to be called Songs of the Past. It will be hitting the market in 2027. CD Projekt Red is co-developing this with Fool's Theory. And they said, stay tuned for more information late summer. So one Witcher request I really would be for there to be a Switch 2 version of The Witcher 3, because I think it's pretty unplayable on the Switch and Switch 2. So, please use caution if you're going to buy it on the Switch 1 or Switch 2. I think especially if you played some of it on another platform, maybe don't really, really stay away. But I think they could do a lot of optimizing on this game to make it look better on the Switch 2. So that would be my hope there. And maybe we will get that in the meantime, because we've been seeing a lot of third-party games take advantage of the Switch 2 hardware being beefier. So maybe we'll see that. But the third expansion for The Witcher 3 has been announced, Songs of the Past, and we will be getting that in 2027 is what they're saying. All right, this is a pretty great week for news. Like, really, we have, Summer Games Fest and State of Play coming up next week, but this has already been a really, really great week of news. And this next bit of news is a new game coming to Nintendo Switch Online on June 4th. You do need the expansion pack for this game, and you did need the expansion game pack for this game when you played it originally on the N64, and that probably gives it away immediately. But it's DK, Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong 64 is here, so K. Rool has 8 Nap the Kongs. Can Donkey Kong rescue his friends, reclaim the golden bananas, and save his homeland from certain doom? Take out the Kremlings with Chunky's pineapple launcher or Lanky's trombone, float through the air using Tiny's ponytail twirl, even rocket to the sky with Diddy's jet barrel. So this is a game I recently watched Mike Minotti play through on Giant Bomb. He did a whole playthrough, 101%, and they did it as a subathon sort of thing. It was pretty fun to watch. So if you want to see someone playing this game recently, please go check that out on giantbomb.com or their YouTube channel. But Donkey Kong 64 gets a lot of flack. This is a game I really, really liked from back in the day and haven't played it since then. Have a lot of fond memories for it. I feel like I understand some of the critiques for it for sure, but I would like to play this in present time. I do have a OEM N64, but I don't have an expansion pack, so I've definitely thought about that over time. You got to drop $50 for the expansion pack, and I think Donkey Kong 64 runs around $30. So it's something I could see myself purchasing in the future, but with the convenience of Nintendo Switch Online, we can all play Donkey Kong 64 if you have the expansion pack on June 4th. So very cool. I think that one's been kind of long awaited, especially since Bonanza released. I think people thought we might have gotten it before Bonanza, but better late than never. And DK64 is coming soon. Donkey Kong is here. All right, this next one is a reminder of a game. Definitely talked about this in the last few weeks. Something I've been excited about for a long time. I don't know if I'm going to jump in immediately, but I've certainly been tempted, and that is Mina the Hollower. So this is officially out right now if you're listening to this podcast. It released on May 29th for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, Switch 2 and 1, and Steam. This one's developed and published by Yacht Club Games. So in Mina the Hollower, you take control of Mina, a renowned hollower hurtled into a desperate mission to rescue a cursed island, whip foes, burrow through the ground, and explore a pixel-perfect world in Mina the Hollower, a brand new game from the developers who brought you Shovel Knight, which that's Yacht Club Games. And Mina the Hollower has come out to, pretty unanimous positive reviews. I feel like there's been a few negatives in there of maybe some of the elements. It's taking inspiration from a lot of games and kind of wearing it on its sleeve. And I think, maybe they're saying some of the blends of like Legend of Zelda and Dark Souls aren't necessarily hitting, or maybe I think I've heard a complaint of maybe it's sometimes hard to figure out what to do in this game. But I think this one seems a little bit more of a throwback. I think the challenge and difficulty is probably intended, and this is just me speaking from an outsider, but there's a demo available of this game that I did play and had a lot of fun with. It did take me some portions of like racking my brain kind of thing, or trying out some different things. It seems like there's more than one way to tackle events and things in this game, so it's a very interesting release. I think it's very, very high quality from what I can tell, and it's $19.99 US, so a very good price point on a video game, and officially out now, Mina the Hollower. So something that I'll be trying at some point. I'm enjoying too many games I'm playing right now to add something else in the mix, but as you know with me, I can change that kind of thing in a heartbeat, so you never know. But I'm very interested in Mina the Hollower, and very interested in letting you know it's officially available right now. All right, something else that's available right now as a Switch 2 version. The Switch version was already out, but the news here is there's a Switch 2 version of Stray available as of May 28th. Stray is $29.99 USDs and normally, but it's on sale right now for $17.99 if you want to get into Stray on Switch 1 or Switch 2. Stray is a third-person cat adventure game set amidst the detailed neon-lit alleys of a decaying cyber city and the murky environments of its seedy underbelly. You can roam surroundings high and low, defend against unforeseen threats, and solve the mysteries of this unwelcoming place inhabited by curious droids and dangerous creatures. So, Stray released on PlayStation and I guess PC a couple years ago, and especially if you're a cat lover, especially if you're a lover of adventure games, I think everything about Stray has been pretty positive, and you can play the new, shiny, wonderful-looking Switch 2 version right now. All right, talking a little bit more about some Switch 2 versions, sort of, but Hollow Knight Silksong, the news here is pre-orders went up for the physical version. So This game released digitally last September, and now you are able to pre-order the physical versions for Switch 2, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series. Hollow Knight Original is also getting a Switch 2 pre-orders and PS5. But in Hollow Knight Silksong, that's the sequel, you can discover a vast haunted kingdom in Hollow Knight Silksong, explore, fight, and survive as you ascend to the peak of a land ruled by Silk and Song. Developer and publisher Team Cherry, and I believe these are all on the cartridge and on the disc, which is something. So no game key card for Switch, and these are going to be very coveted physical games. And I think we've seen maybe with the like the PlayStation 4 run of Hollow Knight, those were a little bit hard to find at a certain point, but then came a little more common, or they reprinted them. So I think if you don't want to go through any of that kind of heartache or whatever it may be, not real heartache, but if you're interested in this, I would maybe say go ahead and pre-order and try to get a copy originally, because I think people are going to be really excited to buy these, would be my take on it. So Hollow Knight Silksong, physical versions up for pre-order right now. All right, an announcement from last week. I think we talked somewhat about this in the prior week, but this has been made official. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4 has been announced, and this confused me a little bit when it was first announced, because Call of Duty 4 is one of my favorite ones, but this is Modern Warfare 4. So you got to think of Modern Warfare as kind of when they reset in 2019, I believe is the case, and I guess they've done 2 more of them since then. But this is the direction I think is the smartest way to go. I think it's always better to put the money on the Modern Warfare side of things, of trying to change up or revitalize this franchise a bit. So Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4 has been announced. It's releasing on October 23rd, 2026 for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, Steam, and kind of a big news here is Switch 2. So it's been a hot minute since we've seen a Call of Duty on a Nintendo platform. I think it's probably since the Wii U, and pretty cool. It's coming out day and date is what they're saying. I might not believe that all the way until we see it. A lot of games that have been releasing these multi-platform games have been, delaying the Switch 2 version to optimize it, and that would be my guess here. But, as of now, they're saying all the versions are going to be coming out on October 23rd, 2026 for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4. So this one is very interesting. It seems like they have all hands on deck developing this. If you look at the Steam page, it says Infinity Ward, which is the one we would all think of with Modern Warfare, but it also says Beanox, Digital Legends, Activision Shanghai, Raven Software, Treyarch, Sledgehammer Games, and High Moon Studios are all developing this game. So if you want to talk about too many cooks in the kitchen, this could be a real example of this. Or, you could talk about a beautiful blending and meshing of the minds coming together to create the revitalization of the Call of Duty franchise. So, it could really go either way, but I was shocked to see that many development teams on this game. But, there might be a reason for that that's more simple than me just saying, damn, that's a lot of developers. This one's being published by Activision, and the storyline for the campaign in this game is war erupts on the Korean peninsula as North Korea launches a full-scale invasion that threatens to destabilize the world. A young squad of South Korean soldiers fight to survive on the collapsing front lines, while half a world away, a vengeful Captain Price wages a personal war from the shadows as he stays one step ahead of those hunting him. So 2 storylines going on there. I think that's how they usually try to do them, and they usually try to weave them together in a nice manner. I think the Call of Duty campaigns have been a letdown for a long time just from, the outside looking in, but, I could be tempted to get back into Call of Duty always. I've had so much fun with this franchise over the course of its history, but it's just been a really long time since I've enjoyed one. But I would have a somewhat open mind, especially on the Call of Duty Modern Warfare side of the house. So COD Modern Warfare 4 has been announced and releasing October 23rd, 2026. All right, a couple more news items to tell you about for the midsection this week, and they're both they are both related for sure. Last week we had Dragon Quest Day, or DQ Day, which is every year on May 27th. Square Enix celebrates Dragon Quest Day, which is the date of the original Dragon Quest game launched in Japan in 1986. To celebrate this year's DQ Day, not Dairy Queen, but Dragon Quest, which is the milestone 40th anniversary, happy anniversary, of the Dragon Quest series. Square Enix made several announcements about upcoming games. So the first and most exciting one, I think, was Dragon Quest XII Beyond Dreams has been announced. This is Dragon Quest XII, and they also announced that Dragon Quest XII underwent a restart in development under a new structure, with its title changed from Dragon Quest XII: The Flames of Fate to Dragon Quest XII: Beyond Dreams. So that is what we are, having officially announced in the past week. So alongside this change, the game's logo has also been completely refreshed. They showed off some character artwork from this game that looks pretty cool, but not a lot shown off in general. Just more of an announcement with a few of the characters being shown, which was, I think, pretty exciting in itself. I have a outside looking in appreciation for Dragon Quest. It's something I'd like to get into more in the future, and I was just excited for these announcements. I think there's a lot about Dragon Quest I do like, even though it's been a franchise I haven't tried a lot of the games, but I think there's something there that is attractive to me, and hopefully I can play a good portion of one and find out for myself one day. But another announcement, there were more announcements from this Dragon Quest day, but I'm just picking out the two most important ones. And the second one I want to tell you about is Dragon Quest 11 is getting a new definitive edition. So it's Dragon Quest 11S Echoes of an Elusive Age is the official title. So this definitive edition is coming to Switch 2 on September 24th. You can enjoy all the features of the previous Dragon Quest 11S release, as well as a new feature that allows players to choose between two display modes, which prioritize or performance or graphics, which is graphics or performance, which is frame rate, and pre-orders are available now. In Dragon Quest 11S Echoes of Elusive Age, you follow the perilous journey of a hunted hero who must uncover the mystery of his fate with the aid of a charismatic cast of supporting characters. They embark on a quest taking them across continents and over vast oceans as they learn of an ominous threat facing the world. So Dragon Quest 11 has been something I've thought about picking up. It's been on sale a lot for like $20, and I guess this is going to be the latest and greatest way to play Dragon Quest 11 on September 24th. I wrote on here it's coming to Switch 2, but I would kind of assume it's coming to the other platforms as well, unless the other platforms already have the definitive edition and the Switch 2 is just catching up there. So maybe just take that as a side note to me making this announcement about Dragon Quest. But those were the two Dragon Quest things I want to tell you about from Dragon Quest Day, and that's everything I wanted to tell you about in the midsection of the show this week. So that is all the video game news and information I wanted to tell you about. We talked about a lot of things. We talked about the upcoming Sony State of Play. We talked about upcoming Summer Game Fest. We talked about Unreal Engine 6, the Steam Deck OLED. We talked about Fable, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, Donkey Kong 64, you know him well. He's finally back to kick some tail. His coconut gun will fire in spurts. We talked about Mina the Hollower. We talked about Stray. We talked about Hollow Knight Silksong. We talked about Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4. We talked about Dragon Quest 12 Beyond Dreams. And we talked about Dragon Quest 11S Echoes of an Elusive Age. So that is all the video game thoughts and news that I wanted to bring to you this week, but there's still one final section of the show left to go. That's the Miscellaneous Talk section, and that's going to be taking place after this music. Welcome back to the final section of Dep Lewis Show, episode 182. This is the Miscellaneous Talk section where I can talk about anything I want to outside of the video game world. So as always, I want to get into the worldwide world of sports and tell you what's going on with all my favorite teams. And not really a whole lot besides one sport. So most of my teams are in the offseason. So starting with the NFL, the Carolina Panthers are in the offseason. The next thing we're looking forward to with the Panthers is the first preseason game, which is the Hall of Fame game. On Thursday, August 6th, the Panthers at the Cardinals. So I just want to make sure we keep that date in our minds and go Panthers. And then moving on to the NBA side of things, I'm a halfway fan of the Charlotte Hornets since I'm a North Carolina resident in the last couple years, but it's the off season for the Hornets as well. The NBA draft is coming up on June 23rd, which is just a couple weeks away, really, about 3 weeks. And the Hornets in the first round have picked 14 and 18. And then my favorite NBA team of all time is the Atlanta Hawks, off season for them as well. NBA draft June 23rd, and they have the 8th and 23rd picks. 8th and 23rd pick in the first round. So just want to keep those as placeholders of things we're looking forward to on the NBA side of things. The San Antonio Spurs and Wemby just punched their ticket to the NBA Finals last night and are going to be taking on the Knicks. So I guess that is going to start sometime in the upcoming week. And I think that's a pretty good matchup. I'm glad the Spurs were able to get in over the Thunder. I think seeing Wemby get there is pretty exciting. I got to see him play in person against the Hornets, and it was pretty surreal seeing him out there. And the thing I kind of remember about seeing Wemby play that game was how everyone, including myself, was cheering for him, even doing the most mundane things because it just looked so crazy out there. Like him pulling down a rebound, people are like in awe of it. So it's pretty cool that he is being this successful. He's living up to the hype. He's a crazy anomaly out there, and just a really, really wild thing to see. And I think it's going to be a tough matchup with the Knicks. They've been building for a while. They got a lot of firepower, and I'm pretty excited for the finals. I think it's going to be a good matchup. So, way to go NBA. But, we'll have to wait for the Hornets and the Hawks to be in the fun, at some point in the future. But, I'm not going to hold my breath, especially as a Hawks fan. It's been a long, long time. But the Atlanta Braves are my favorite team in the universe. We talked about them in the beginning of the show. At this point during the day, they most likely lost their game to the Reds, but I will have to report that back to you officially next week. But since last week, the Atlanta Braves, on the MLB side of things, they played the Nationals last Sunday for an afternoon game, and the Braves actually lost 1-2. Monday was an off day, and then Tuesday they went to Boston. So at Boston, the Braves won 7-6 on Tuesday. Wednesday at Boston, the Braves lost 0-8. And then Thursday at Boston, it was a 4 p.m. game. There was a certain fan in the stands. It might be somebody you've heard me talk about on this show before. It might be a friend in real life. It might be a friend of the show, a gentleman named Pab. And Mr. Pab was at the game, which you can't believe. So, Pab talks all that trash on the Braves every day of his life, all throughout the year. And look, he's over there traveling up to Boston to go see the Braves play. But he was doing some work out there, got to go catch a baseball game. So I can't blame him in that regard. And I can't blame him for watching the Braves win. So he got to see the Braves win 10-2. So jokes on Pab. Ronnie hit a grand slam over the monster where he was sitting. So Pab just got to, crane his neck and look at a bomb going over his head of my favorite player. So a little bit of justice out there in the world for the troll that is known as Pab. And go Braves on that one especially. So I'm very glad to see that. But he sent some pictures from the stadium. It looked extremely cool. Boston is one of the places I actually have traveled to. And I didn't get to go to the stadium, but I think it was the John Hancock building is pretty close to there. I don't know if it's still called that, but it was like an off day for baseball when we were there. But I was able to see the stadium from this John Hancock building. Just really cool and historical to see, and really, really neat. So pretty cool stuff there. And then, so that finished the series with Boston during the week. And then for the weekend, the Braves have moved on to the Reds in Cincinnati. So Friday, the Braves won 8-3 against the Reds. Saturday, at the Reds, the Braves won 5-2, which had 2 Ronnie bombs in that game. So Ronnie has homered in the last 4 games. He's on an absolute heater, which makes me very, very happy, more than anything in the baseball world for sure. So as of last night, after the Braves won that game, the Braves were 40-19. So I'm assuming it's 40-20 after today's game. But as of last night, the Braves were first in the NL East, which will definitely still be the case. They were first in baseball, which will definitely still be the case. And the Dodgers, as of last night, were 2.5 games back on the overall lead. And just to tell you who are the best teams going on right now: Braves, Dodgers, Rays, Brewers, Yankees, and Guardians. So pretty cool teams in there. I don't have any problems with any of those teams necessarily, and I actually like the Guardians. So pretty cool to see them in there. Jose Ramirez, I was watching him last night. He is, one of my favorite players that's not on the Braves. The Braves are playing today against the Reds at 1:40. It started. It's 4:30. The game probably has just wrapped up unless the Braves had some type of miraculous comeback. But the Reds were actually putting up runs with the lead, towards the end of the game. So bad news over there. But I'll let you know next week for sure how that turned out. Next week, the Braves have an off day again on Monday. I think, that was the case last week. And then they were going to be in Atlanta for 3 versus Toronto, and then in Atlanta for 3 versus the Pirates. So I don't know if they're going to get to see Paul Skeens, but that would be pretty fun to watch. And pretty cool matchups there. I think, Toronto and the Pirates have been doing okay. But, the Braves are the best team in baseball, so everyone's got to watch out for them right now. That's what I got to say. So go Braves, go Ronnie, and go Major League Baseball. I'm having so much fun watching you. I was just realizing, it's definitely a third of the way through the season. I think it's been a little bit over 60 games played, and that made me feel good. I'm like, hey, there's still a lot of baseball left to go, and that makes me happy. So go Braves, go baseball, and go sports in general. So that's going to wrap up this final section. We talked about all my favorite teams. We talked about the Panthers. We talked about the Hornets. We talked about the Hawks. And we talked about the Braves. And that's everything I got for you for the Miscellaneous Talk section. And that's everything I got for you for the entire show. So I'd like to reiterate some promotional talk from the beginning. Please follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere. Full episodes of Dep Lewis Show available anywhere you can find a podcast. So find the best place to subscribe and listen weekly. Places like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Amazon Music, and more. YouTube is also a great place to watch me play some games live or check out the videos later. You can go watch my recent Forza Horizon 6 stream if you would like to do so. If you'd like to support the show even further than just listening, patreon.com/Dep Lewis Show is available if you'd like to subscribe monthly. Also, Venmo at Dep Lewis Show is available any day, anytime, for any amount if you would like to support the show. I thank you so much for listening. It's amazing to me that you do listen out there. I certainly appreciate it. I'm very, very thankful, and I hope you're doing good out there as well. So I hope you have a wonderful week out there in the world. If things are going your way, I hope that continues. If things are not going your way, I hope that changes immediately, and I hope that changes in a quick fashion for you, and I hope the good times will start rolling for you. So I really do mean it. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be back next week to talk about more video games, especially the Sony State of Play that's taking place in the upcoming week on Tuesday, Summer Games Fest taking place on Friday, and you can listen to all the highlights and my thoughts on it next Sunday, and I'll be very excited to do so. That's definitely got to be one of my favorite shows to do of the year. It's I always love doing a show when there's big news conferences and getting two of them in the same week and possibly some other ones that week as well. I'm excited, so come back next week and I will tell you all about it. Goodbye.